So, okay. So, comrade, shall we start? Well, one question is that is this the mistake of the people of the country or the political parties which enable such a divisive force to come into power? How do you see India? So you can't blame the people. I mean, it's not. That's not the thing. It is our way to reconvince the people, and reconvincing is through such discussions, through strengthening our struggles, and as I told you, through combining the struggles against the common day-to-day issues of our life, along with the ideological struggle against the entire false consciousness created by this Hindutva. That is the combination of that is what is required. Ultimately, remember, people are your only weapon. And don't blame your weapon for not being able to use it properly. So we have to use it properly. And as I left, how to become acceptable in this age of unreason or rather irrationality? By, uh, by reason and rationality. Again, the question is that it is not going to be given by somebody to us. We have to earn it. That is why we have to be prepared to struggle for it. Nobody is going to come and give it to us as a gift. And that struggling for it, we have to introspect, see where we are not doing what we should be doing. So that is the manner in which we have to do. We have taken our resolutions, we worked out our direction of how to do it. Point is how effectively we implement that. Because you remember, even in spite of all this, you still managed to win the election in Kerala. You still managed to defeat, in spite of Mamata Banerjee, you managed to defeat BJP in Bengal. You're seeing now what's happening to Mamata Banerjee and what is the linkage between the BJP and Mamata Banerjee with that recent arrest and the manner in which her nephew has been exonerated and that she did not vote in the vice presidential election. She did not allow Yashwant Sinha to come to Bengal for campaigning for the presidential election. So, I mean, despite this sort of an understanding between the two, still the people of Bengal reacted. So it's possible wherever you can. Definitely it's possible. It depends on how we work. As we all know, and also Comrade Yechury told us, that all state machinery, democratic and constitutional institutions are under their control, including media and social media. Then what is the way, what are the weapons in our hands to fight the assault? Will we have to fight empty-handed? Always we have to, comrade, empty. Don't expect any of these institutions to come to your help. Remember, these institutions were also created how? They were created by the people's movement in your struggle for freedom, no? And when you're struggling for freedom, you're struggling empty-handed. When you established all these institutions, there is no institution of the British that helped your freedom struggle. So when we when we fought, It's ultimately, as I said, is the people's assertion. That is what we have to do. So you're not empty-handed. You have people with you. If you don't have people with you, we must get the people with us. That is our job, and that is where we have to improve our interaction with the people. So long we have got lulled into thinking, अच्छा Supreme Court है, अगर कोई problem है तो we can go to the judiciary. And many people stopped fighting. Only when the judiciary also did not support you, then you started realizing. So that will happen. I mean, that is why we have to earn our rights, and that can come only through struggles. That's no other way. And your union also was not formed because some institution helped you. Your union was formed because the employees together fought for it and got it established. Nobody supported at that time, except that we had a law that was also created by the trade union movement that gave you that sort of a support. So long and short, the story is that we'll have to struggle to get our rights back. That is the only answer. And RSS has been systematically inclusive, including its ideology by inculcating its ideology, by establishing Shishu Vihar, Saraswati Mandirs over decades. How are we countering this? Initially, the countering was done not only by us, but by the Indian state through the education system, where we also played a big role in actually shaping that system. But now that's when we also realized that there should have been parallel non-governmental institutions that should have been set up actually to give such training and all that. But we started, but not in such a big scale as they did. That was the difference. But they had the entire support of the religious system of the Hindu social order, which provided them the backdrop of it. That is something we did, but later when we realized it, we have started now to have our schools and some things, etc. But we have not reached any scale to actually match them. And that is why they are attacking. The new education policy is all that, because that is why they are attacking, despite the Shishu Vihars, despite the Saraswati Mandirs. Once they reach institutions of higher education, they are confronted by people. So attack the higher educations, institutions of higher education. That is why the attacks on the universities. That's why now the attacks on the UGC and all that. That has to be resisted. That's why this movement against the new education policy is an important one to preserve the counterbalancing check to what they are doing through this Saraswati Vihars and Shishu Mandirs. But we have to strengthen our independent initiative also. That is what this party Congress also decided, that the party will be taking some initiative. But for that, wherever we are strong, only we will be able to do it. Or we'll have to find some support structure, because no religious Arya Samaj or Sanatana institutions are going to support us like they support the RSS setting up these institutions. Some, progressive, secular, people's movements, NGOs, etc., they'll have to start doing this now. Like the Narmada Bachao Andolan, like the Right to Information Andolan in Rajasthan, they've started a large number of schools in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, etc. But they are still at a very elementary level. They'll have to be developed. RSS BJP has been instigating communal fervor across the country by portraying Hindus as victims. Most of the Hindus are tolerant, but of late falling into their trap. How do we counter these moves? Our religious consciousness is on the rise in the present, as religious consciousness is on the rise in the present juncture. How to counter them is actually by presenting the actual reality and facts. Whatever be, even if the religious sentiments are rising, how do we approach that religion? What people have to be told is, what is the meaning of religion? And in Hindi, what we normally say is that dharma ka matlab kya hai? How many people don't follow Hindi here? कोई है who don't follow? Chalo, otherwise your Hindi knowing people can help you. धर्म का मतलब क्या है? एक आत्मा और एक परमात्मा के बीच में संबंध, पवित्र संबंध है. अब कौन होगा वो परमात्मा, ये आत्मा तय करेगी. अब वो भगवान खुद आके ये नहीं कह सकता है कि राम की पूजा क्यों कर रहे हो मेरी, यानी कृष्णा क्यों नहीं पूछ सकता है कि मेरी पूजा क्यों नहीं हो रही। वो भी दखल नहीं कर सकते भगवान भी। कौन ये आत्मा चुनता? वो है परमात्मा, जिसके अंदर इस आत्मा को आस्था है। वो अधिकार की पूरा संपूर्ण रक्षा है। आप जो भी आप चुनोगे या हमारे जैसे नास्तिक बनोगे, ये आपका है निर्णय। उसकी जो है पूरी की पूरी रखवाली, देखभाल और इज्जत करेगी सरकार और कानून। लेकिन अगर कोई जाके कहेगा कि मेरा भगवान तेरे भगवान से बेहतर है, या मेरा खुदा तेरे खुदा से बेहतर है, तब जो है ये कानून इसकी इजाज़त नहीं देती। तो आप अपने खुदा में आप रखिए अपना आस्था, आपकी पूरी इज्जत है, आपको पूरा करेंगे। लेकिन ये मत कहना कि उसका खुदा जो है वो खराब है मेरे से, तो उसके ऊपर हमला करो। अब ये मंजूर नहीं है। साफ सी बात है। दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू अप्रोच द पीपल व्हेन दे फील लाइक दिस कि हिंदुओं पे अत्याचार हुए। कहाँ पर हुई? यही है दुष्प्रचार जो चलता है, जिसके आधार पर दिस इज हाउ द फेक न्यूज़ एंड द false propaganda goes on, and that is how they build up this hatred and terror. And what is the actual reality in the country? Well, you look at any positions, any postings, look at your own institution, LIC, you should look at any other organization. Predominantly, majority are the Hindus. Where are Hindus being tolerated again? That is the false consciousness that they want to create. That has to be busted. Left movement is unable to attract youth, which is hurdle for its expansion. What is the vision of CPIM? Unable to attract youth is not correct. Maybe you can say that left movement should attract more youth. But to say that you are unable to attract youth, that is not correct. Then you wouldn't have been relevant at all. If there's nobody who's coming to you. So the point is more should be attracted. And what is it? That is precisely where were the youth coming into the left movement. That is the areas of assault and attack today. Your universities, centers for higher education, your centers for scientific research, etc., your cultural bodies, where people would move towards the left, are the areas of their attack, and they're doing it consciously, knowing full well that this is the area where progressive ideas come, and therefore they should be attacked. So how is this expansion to be done? Is that on these issues now, this new education policy I told you as far as students are concerned, on the question of unemployment, now a big movement has been planned by the youth organization. In the next few months you will actually see it happening. And the students have already started on 5 jattas from all over the country converging in Delhi. A 1.5 month program going through all the educational institutions, etc. It's begun last week. It's from various points. So that will be a big movement through which you will have to attract them. Now, what is the employment situation? 42% of your youth in the age group of 20 to 24 years are unemployed today. 42%. This is when your labor participation rate has drastically fallen. Labor participation rate is now only 38.8%. That is, out of every 100 people in working age, that is 15 years to 60 or 64 sometimes, of your working age, only 38.8 people are looking for jobs. 61.2, or nearly one third of people who can work have stopped looking for jobs because there are no jobs. They are living off rural areas, their homes, so doing some self-employed, some activity, something like that to survive. So in that situation, the jobs issue, where are my jobs? The slogan of the youth organization, where is my job, Mr. Modi? That is the thing. So this is the manner in which this youth will be coming, and they this also will change. It has to change because I mean youth after all wants a future. They want a future. Like you, I mean that's why this sudden spontaneous upsurge against Agnipath. I mean nobody organized it in that sense. I mean suddenly the youth when they came up in such a big way. Why? Because they also want jobs. They also want a future. So that discontent is there. That has to be channeled. If you don't channel it, then they find that the jobs that the BJP provides every day, you go slout the slogans, etc. You get your food, you get your evening drink, and you get 500 rupees. So he said that is better employment. That is how they, destroy our youth also. So that is why the structured job creation, for which a big movement has to be launched, and that is begun. So that has to be strengthened. That is the only way in which we can attract more youth towards us. Then there is one question that has come: why unity cannot be forged among left-leaning political parties? Well, there are differences. That is why they are different political parties, no? अगर difference नहीं होता तो एक ही पार्टी में रहते हैं. So why you can't forge just because you have these differences? No, why you have these differences is that each party will have to answer. But of late, these differences are minimized to a large extent. To a large extent, they are minimized. There are very few differences left. So there is more or less unity. Except of the left parties, you have with the ML, that is Marxist-Leninist thing. They have a different point of view. They want shortcuts into parliament and assemblies, so they are willing to make all sorts of compromises with everybody, which is other left parties are not willing to accept that. So that is the reason. But as I said, the process, there's greater area of unity right now than disunity, and that is a good thing. It's improving. During strike and other actions on streets, the voice of the left is clearly heard. But why that is not being translated into votes? Now you tell me, how many of you were present in the Nagpur LIC conference, All India? Remember, there was one slogan I gave saying that नेता नहीं नीति बदलना, याद है ना? तो आपको उसी समय मैं क्या बोला? संघर्ष के लिए लाल झंडा, वोट के लिए भगवा झंडा. वो नहीं चलेगा. अब why is this happening? That is the creation of this false consciousness, what I was telling you. And there's also an actual reason also that I said that until the left parties, particularly the communist parties, until they create a condition of confidence among the people, like people have the confidence that on economic struggles, the red flag, that is the most consistent supporter and ally of the working people. But on social oppression issues, on issues of caste oppression, social oppression, etc., that confidence is still not there among the people about the left. At the time of your Nagpur conference, it was the BSP, the Samajwadi Party, the RJD, all caste-based parties, and backward caste-based parties, and Dalits, who were on the rise. They were important parties. Why? They had more confidence in those parties on issues of social oppression. But on issues of economic issues, they'll come with the red flag. So unless we combine the two, struggles against economic exploitation and struggles against social oppression, they both have to be simultaneously carried out in India. For that confidence to come in the people, like they have confidence on economic struggles in the left, that confidence should come on issues of social oppression. But things have changed since then. At that time it was caste and social oppression. Now it's the communalism's assault. That is what we'll have to meet today. today, and that is when we can break this dichotomy. Like I was telling you earlier, you had demonetization, you had the GST, you had this the entire manner in which COVID was mismanaged, oxygen shortage, second wave, those mask barriers and things like that. Now growing unemployment, price rise, hunger. Still, people voting BJP, even if not a big majority, but still there are substantial people voting BJP. Why? That is it. So that is where that false consciousness has to be combated also. This and the other one, like one of our sympathizers in Maharashtra during the last assembly election. After the meeting, he told me he runs a small poultry farm. He is a Muslim. He says, comrade जी मैं यहाँ पे सब वर्कर को बताता हूँ, मेजॉरिटी हिंदू वर्कर, सबको बताता हूँ भाई जाके तू तेरा अपना हिंदू राष्ट्र बना ले, लेकिन एक चीज़ याद रखना, उस हिंदू राष्ट्र में तू और मैं दोनों भूखे मरेंगे. that is a fact. I mean, that consciousness has to dawn on them. That is when people will start choosing in terms of policies and not in terms of emotions. This emotion-based frenzy, that is what has to be broken. That's why I was telling you we have to combine both these aspects in our struggles. Can we say the withdrawal of support of left during UPA 1 on nuclear issue and suspension of Somnath Chatterjee, speaker from party, is wrong decision? How does it help you now if I say it's a wrong decision? Huh? बताइए मतलब क्या है इसका? अब आदम और ईव पैदा नहीं होते तो हम नहीं होते, तो अच्छी बात है. हाँ? वो गलती था या सही था वो? अरे what is the meaning of all these questions, you know, tell me? So the point is, remember, in our own lives, making a mistake is not a mistake. Stalin was once asked, is there any pure good communist who never makes a mistake? So थोड़ी देर सोचा Stalin, then he said, yes. Comrades who do no work never make a mistake. काम ही नहीं करता तो गलती क्या होगा, मतलब. So the point is, it is a question of recognizing a mistake, correcting that mistake, and making sure that you don't repeat the mistake. So what is a mistake or what is not a mistake, and post-mortem is not the job of it. We have to now move forward and to go forward, and these are all issues settled in the party. I mean, it's not as though these are open issues. Party congresses have settled these issues. So this is not something that is open for any review now. These are settled matters in the party, and therefore this is not any issue for any discussion now. Okay, so that is the... ठीक है? Okay, so I go... So do I go back confident that along with all your struggles against this privatization, the share of your IPO, your sales, etc., you will also strengthen the campaign against Hindutva and the Hindutva forces? Yeah? That's it. Because remember, then before, when you started it earlier, you had this signature campaign, no? LIC. Which year was it?
78 we
Started
1
crore.
5 crore signatures.
That 5 crore signature. 98. 98. You started it before the 98 elections when Vajpayee became Prime Minister. Before that election you started. I remember at your Connaught Place quarter. आप थे, आप ले गए थे ना मुझे, वहीं पे. हाँ, तो आगे ले गए, वहीं पे याद होगा आपको, मैंने बोला कि भाई यहाँ से हमारे से सिग्नेचर करवा लोगे, हम सब सपोर्ट करेंगे आपकी, लेकिन ऐसे लोगों को चुनोगे जो पार्लियामेंट के अंदर मिल के आपके सिग्नेचर्स के बावजूद कानून बनाएंगे प्राइवेटीकरण के लिए, तो ये कोई रोकेगा नहीं. एंड दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट हैपेंड. आई सेड, यहाँ से सपोर्ट लो लाल झंडे से, वोट डालो तिरंगा या भगवा झंडे को, और पार्लियामेंट में तिरंगा और भगवा दोनों मिलके तय कर लिया कि भाई इसको निजीकरण करना है. Remember that time, and then only when later we big struggle, and then finally we stopped it when Manmohan Singh government came, and they kept it under what do you call deep freeze for 10 years. Even Manmohan Singh government did not reverse it, but it was put in the deep freeze, like Air India privatization. But once that government went, then it again it's all back. So politically सोचिए, ठीक है ना? So good, thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Yechury garu. In fact, he agreed for coming here, but then yesterday he had a function called by the Prime Minister where the committee for the celebration of the 75th year of independence, that was to meet. So he phoned up and said, I'm not in a position to come because I have got this meeting. He was to speak on 6th. But then when we said we'll be missing you, he said, okay, I'll come on 7th. So yesterday night, almost up to 10:30 it was going on, and in the morning he got up and came here. So we thank Comrade Sitaram Yechury and all your behalf and behalf of the All India Insurance Organization for coming here and placing his views and also answering the questions without any, what do you call, very frankly answering the questions, which will help a long way. And let us also remember that we have given him a promise that we will be active participants in the campaign against the communal agenda of the BJP and ours. Thank you. Now I request Comrade Ramesh, the President of the All India Insurance Employees Association, to say the, what do you call, a review of, to place a review of these 2 days classes. Thank you.
Comrades, Comrade President of the meeting, Comrade Sitaram Yechury, the General Secretary of CPIM, Comrade Shrikant Mishra, General Secretary of AIIEA, Comrade Amanullah Khan, and my dear comrades. I've been asked to do this job which you have